Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
Welcome to the West Texas View. I'm Johnny Lou Avery, and we're going to be talking again about Alzheimer's. I have invited Debbie Erdworm, who is the Executive Director, and Janet Cross, who's the Program Coordinator here, several times, because this is a subject that if you haven't been touched by Alzheimer's, you will be. And we need to keep in front of us the information we need to know. And I asked them to come back for three very important topics that we want to talk about today. The first one is to just inform you that this is National Alzheimer's Month across the whole United States, and so we want to talk about some of the things that you need to know and is brought to your attention during that time. The second thing we want to talk about is some things that you particularly need to know about identifying Alzheimer's, some of the very first signs of Alzheimer's in those that you love or in yourself. And then the third thing is we want to talk about a new program that's going to be kicked off during National Alzheimer's Month, in which we're educating clergy and leaders in the church in how to identify and help the people in their congregations. And sometimes these are the people that are closest to you as your church family, and they're certainly among those that will be most sensitive to your needs. And so we've got a lot of things to talk about. So Debbie and Janet, we're so happy to have you here today and appreciate it. And even though, Debbie, I know you came with a cold, at least you were a trooper and came. And so whoever wants to answer this, I want you to talk a little bit just about the overview of National Alzheimer's Month.
November has been designated as National Alzheimer's Disease Awareness Month for the last several years. In fact, when President Reagan was in office, he's the one who first signed the letter saying that we're going to designate this month and we're going to turn our nation's attention to awareness about Alzheimer's disease. You know, you're right, it touches almost every family. It's a growing epidemic. You know, every year we're seeing more and more people.
As our baby boomers age, everything's happening.
As the baby boomers age, we're seeing more and more people. You know, the good news is our life expectancy keeps increasing. The bad news that accompanies that is in that then opens the window for more and more people to develop Alzheimer's, because predominantly it is a disease of older people, although we have 500,000 Americans under the age of 60 who have the disease as well. So it's not just the elderly that are touched by this. You know, we've got children who are caregivers, children whose family life has been disrupted by the care of somebody with Alzheimer's disease, and you know, working people, you know, daughters, sons, brothers, sisters who are now caring for a loved one who have this disease as well.
Trying to be caregivers and for two sets of families.
Right, trying to care for their children, trying to care for their parents, or maybe trying to care for their spouse.
That's right. And the other thing, the reason that it's so fitting that President Reagan signed this bill was then he probably was already in the beginning stages of Alzheimer's at the time he signed the bill.
Yes.
But the important thing is that as people are touched by it, they're saying, oh, I heard something about that, I wish I knew. Or they're sitting watching this today and they're saying, I need to know some signs, some of the early signs that I need to watch for. Can you kind of give us in some nutshell fashion some of the early things that we need to watch for?
Sure, and the thing about Alzheimer's disease is the early signs look so much like normal aging. But they're not. They're part of a disease process. It's going to be things like short-term memory. May not be able to remember something that somebody just said to you, or what you've just said to somebody else.
Or you repeat something that you just said.
You continuously, because you have no recollection of having said it before, not recalling a recent event. And that can be something like, you know, maybe what we had for breakfast this morning, or where we were last night. Not recalling people that we've recently met. You know, the recent events are what get disturbed first.
And I heard, Debbie, you told the difference between dementia and which is kind of the normal aging process, and Alzheimer's is that dementia or the normal aging process is general forgetting, but the Alzheimer's is forgetting forward. You forget the first things all the way back.
Right.
Is that right? Did I describe that right?
They forget more short-term memory in the beginning, and as the disease progresses, then it includes the more studied,
Almost, yeah.
rehearsed memories. So actually kind of in reverse of the way they
And I had an
happened.
uncle who had Alzheimer's and was 95 when he died, and he could still count and play dominoes because his occupation involved numbers. And they explained to me then that because he had done this one thing with numbers all of his life, that was the last to go.
Right. Long-term memory hangs around for a very long time with this disease. And the reason for that is because we rehearse those memories. We think about them, we talk about them, you know, we look at pictures that help us to remember the event. And the more that we do that, then the more deeply we store those memories, and we start to store them in multiple parts of the brain. So they're not just in that hippocampus, which is the short-term memory, which is the first part of the brain that gets impacted by Alzheimer's disease. So it creates some confusion for the families because they think, well, if he can remember what happened when they were in high school, why can't he remember what he had for breakfast or what I just told him to do? Well, the reason is because of the way the disease progresses within the brain.
And the other thing, though, that are you good at hiding it in your, or compensating or something when you?
Both. You're excellent at hiding it. And we all do it. You know, if I don't remember someone's name at Walmart, I don't say, I'm so sorry. What is your name? We fake it. We say, you know, oh, how long has it been? And how's the family? You know, real generic, real general terms. So everybody has a family, you know. And I always say, if I can tell if Janet doesn't recognize them when we're out somewhere because she doesn't introduce me.
Yes, that's true. I understand that.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is these are just some beginning stages, but the other thing that's important, and we've got to take a break in just a minute, is if you've got any questions, call the Alzheimer's Association.
Absolutely.
Wherever you live, because there's Alzheimer's associations in almost any major
And the
city.
800 number is across the nation.
That's
They'll
true.
get-
Right, and it will ring into the local office. From wherever you're calling, it will ring into the office closest to where
you.
you're calling from.
That's great information. We're going to have to take a break right now, but we'll be back in just a minute and continue this conversation because I want us to talk about more about what Alzheimer's is all about, what are going to be some of the things we do during National Alzheimer's Month, and then also this clergy workshop that is very important. See you in just a minute.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.